Okay, we're live. Go ahead and
Okay.
introduce
All
yourself and go for it.
right. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. This is Jackie, and I am going to talk to you about our aligner system available through AccuSmile. This is a digital aligner program, and what you can do, it's a wonderful program that's very customizable. You send us your digital scans, and then we can either treat the case for you, or you can treat the case in-house with the software. So I'm going to walk you through some of the basic functions of this program, and just so you get a feel for how easy it is to treatment plan a case. So right here, what you're seeing on screen is our upper and lower arches that have been what's called data processed. These arches have to go through a cleaning up process in the software. When we initially get the scans, they kind of look like plaster pour-ups with lots of noise around them, and we have to bring it in, clean it up in the software, section out the teeth, and define where the gum line is. So you'll hear me refer to data processing, and that is the cleaning up of the scans. That is something that we can offer here as a service at AccuSmile. We charge $15 an arch. A lot of doctors take advantage of this. They send us the scans, they ask us to data process their scans, and then send them back so they can treatment plan the case. So, like I said, this program is customizable. We can also do treatment planning as well, and I'll get into that a little more later in this webinar. All right, so now you can see we have an upper and lower arch. I do recommend using a mouse when you're working in the software. There are different views up here that you can just click on these boxes and get these nice views of the different upper and lower arches. However, if you want to rotate the model, you're going to need the mouse. So you can right click and rotate the model. You can scroll in and out to get some more detail. And then if you need to move the entire model at once, you can right, left click, hold it down, and then you're able to move that entire model. You can get rid of an arch by clicking up here, the lower arch. If I click on that, you'll notice it grays out, and then the lower arch disappears. Then we can look at the occlusal view of the upper, and then vice versa. You can go ahead and get rid of that upper, click on that lower, and then we're going to go to this top view here, and then you can get the occlusal view of that lower arch. So very user-friendly buttons up here. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to tell the software which arch you're going to treat first. So you're going to do this by clicking up here and hitting Add Setup. It's asking you which one you're going to treat. We're going to go ahead and just move the teeth in the upper arch. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that lower arch and get back into the occlusal view. And then I'm going to click this staging tool up here. And you're going to notice once I do that, there's this menu that pops up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on it too, so you can get an idea of what the staging tool looks like. Okay, so in the software you can move the teeth two different ways. You can either use these buttons up here, which if I click on this facial button, it's going to move that tooth facially exactly 0.1 millimeters. You are able to dial this up or down. Okay, so if you have some larger movements to make, you can go ahead and now when I click on this button, it's going to move that tooth facially 0.2 millimeters. So it just always defaults to the 0.1 when you open the software, but you can change it. This will default to 2 degrees, but that also you can change. So if you want to make very precise movements, you can click on these buttons one at a time. However, if you have larger movements, you can actually use the gyroscope itself to move the teeth. So these outside arrows you can use to push and pull a tooth. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and go through some different things here. This is not how you would want the case to finish, but I a feel for the software. You can use the outside of the wheel. And I'm going to drag this in just a slightly different point of view. And you'll notice once I did that, now you've got all these other bars here to choose from. So this entire tool is interactive. So you are able to move this tooth from all different angles. Okay, you don't always have to be in the occlusal view. You can switch it around. And there's no right or wrong way to use this tool. So it's really a matter of preference and what you're comfortable with when moving the teeth. Okay, I'm going to move this tooth back just a bit because I want to show you one other nice option. So let's say you have a group of teeth that you need to move together. Instead of having to move them one by one, that could take a while. You can actually move them as a group. So if I go in here and I want to move this tooth and this whole group of teeth, I'm going to hold down my control button. And I'm going to start selecting the teeth that I want to move. All right. Now there is one rule with groups of teeth. You can't use this gyro tool to move the whole set. You actually have to use the buttons. Oops, going the wrong way. Up here to move them as a group. Okay, and so you'll notice I've moved that whole set as one. You can also do this if you need to expand an arch. You could go ahead and select all of the teeth, make them blue, and then expand it out that way. When you're done, you want to just go back to one tooth at a time. Then you can just click off of it, and then you're back to moving just one tooth at a time. Okay, so now you're going to move all these teeth where you want this patient to finish. So you're moving it to the ideal position. Now, I'm not the treatment planner here, so I do the data processing only. So you might be a little horrified with how I move these teeth. So don't be worried because I would not be the one treating your cases. And it's probably left best in the hands of doctors. I just want to get some movement here so I can show you a little bit more about the software and the options that you have. Now, we do recommend starting in one quadrant, doing those movements first, and then moving on to the next quadrant. You'll notice I don't have any numbers over here just yet. Those numbers and the amount of movement you've had in each category won't start to populate until I finish all my movements and click on the OK button. So I'm just going to go ahead and just move some teeth here just because I want to get some numbers here to work with. Okay. And you'll see you might need to move the arch around just like I did because you may not be able to reach that arrow, but it's very easy to use this software. Just get some other movement here. I want to check and different points of view. If the gyroscope is distracting you, you can double click and it will make that gyroscope disappear so you can look at the arch more clearly. Okay, so I want to extrude. Let's go ahead and get some extrusion here just so we get some of those numbers. Okay. Alright, so I think that's pretty good with the movement. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and click OK so you can see. Now, you'll notice some of the teeth have disappeared. What the software is doing right now is it's actually guesstimating where that gingiva is going to be after those teeth have moved. So it's really nice. The older version of the software actually made stair steps. So we've gotten rid of that, and now we have a better transition with the movements. Alright, so now you'll see over here, I'm going to pull this over. We have facial lingual movements, mesial-distal movements, intrusion, extrusion, rotation, torque, and tipping. Okay. Now, the teeth are numbered here. If you're not sure which tooth it's referring to, you can actually click on tooth 2 and you'll see that tooth has highlighted. Okay. So now the next step is actually telling the software how many aligners you want to break these movements up into. Now, we have a velocity guideline chart that we'll send you. And what that does is it tells you the limitations and how much movement you can have per tray. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the facial lingual movements first. Now, on the velocity guideline chart, we cannot exceed 0.3 millimeters of movement per tray. So if we look at just the largest movement, we're going to look right here. It's 0.68 out of all the teeth here. So we know that we're going to automatically, we won't be able to do this movement in 2 aligners because it's actually an 8 there. If it was 0.6, it'd be fine with 2 aligners. But we're actually going to have 3 aligners for this case. You're going to want to go through each column and just make sure 3 aligners is going to work with all those movements. Mesial distal movements are also limited to 3 millimeters per tray, but you'll see right here 0.36 is the largest movement we have, so you're absolutely fine with 3 trays still. And you're just going to go through and figure out if each one's going to work. Intrusion, extrusion, you're actually limited to 0.1 millimeters. So we're going to round this up to 0.4, and that's going to bump our trays from 3 to 4. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and look at the rotations. Now this is where you can have a little fluctuation here. You can have 2 to 3 degrees of rotation per tray. So let's look at the largest amount of movement, which is 13.73. We're going to go ahead and round that up to 4. Okay. So since we can go 2 degrees or 3 degrees, if we were going to go and have faster movements, then we'd go 2 degrees per tray. So then you're looking at 7 trays for this case. If you have somebody that maybe is more of a sensitive patient and maybe won't fare well with that much movement, you might want to bump it up to 8 or 9 trays. So you have a little control here as far as how you want to push treatment. Now we don't want to go less than 7 trays because then your trays aren't going to fit. So let's go ahead and just call it 8 trays. Okay, we'll kind of split those movements. And then the torque is 1 to 2 degrees per setup, and we're at 8 here. Well, we already have 7 trays, so that's going to work out just fine. So now what we're going to do is come up here, and we're going to tell the software, well, I said 7 trays. I think we're going to do 8. Okay, I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to dial in 8 trays. That's kind of small to see. You're going to hit OK. And now what it's doing over here is it's actually breaking up all those movements into 8 trays, and they will try to equal it out. Okay? So you'll definitely want to let the software do its thing before you move on to any other steps. So just make sure that it's finished thinking here before you start clicking on anything else. Okay? And then once it's finished, you're going to see actually up here, well, it's finished, 8 setups. So you can go through and arrow through your setups. And setup 0 is always the initial scan. And then you can go on through here, okay, and just see how these teeth are moving, okay. And then you would do the same process with the lower treatment plan. Okay. The software allows you to use IPR, so I'll show you how that works. You'll click on IPR, you'll notice this menu pops up again. This also you can customize. I'm going to bump this up so that way you can see how this works. And so you'll notice I have this little hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the tooth I actually want to take the surface from. So I'm going to go ahead and select this tooth. Now you'll notice once I did that, there are these little crosshairs that pop up. Okay, I'm going to click outside the arch, and there's this dancing line that I'm going to bring through where I want to remove that surface from. And when I have it lined up just where I want it, I'm going to click once to release it. Now you'll notice it's taken some of the surface off. If you're okay with that, go ahead and hit OK. If you would want to redo it, you can hit cancel here. You can also use this back arrow to undo anything you've done. And then you could go ahead and redo it again. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel, and that's how the IPR tool works. You're also able to add attachments in the software. So if you want to come up here to the shape, and you'll want to make sure you're in setup 0. Excuse me. There's a menu here that pops up. So we have large, medium, small, mound. There are hooks. You can actually load a shape if you have an STL file. But I'm going to go ahead and click on mound. And then you're going to have that hand tool again. You're just going to click wherever you want that attachment. I'm going to zoom in here. Now you'll notice the gyroscope has popped up again. And you can customize this up here. So you can change this to make it easier for you to use. So it's just kind of a matter of preference. Okay, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Now, you can use the gyroscope to move it, to rotate it. You can also use these bars. So you'll notice when I toggle over this green bar, it becomes gray. If I click on that and drag it, I can actually start to reshape this attachment. Okay, maybe I want an oval shape. If I wanted just a larger round shape, I could drag it out. Maybe I want a really thin one. Okay, and you'll want to look at it from different angles so you can see how far this attachment is sitting off the surface. You may want to angle it, okay, to have more push. Okay, so it's really a nice feature. If you want to look at this attachment without this gyroscope, again, go ahead and double click in the gray area. Okay, and then that's going to go ahead and let you look at that attachment on its own. Now once I hit OK, the software, since I did this in the setup 0, it's going to add it to all your other ones. So I can go ahead and arrow through all through setup 8, and the software's already gone ahead and populated that for you. Okay, and then the last feature in the software that a lot of doctors find helpful is the labeling tool. So when I click on label, up here is where you can go ahead and put the patient's initials. So let's see, I'll just go ahead and change these, and I'm going to go ahead and hit update text. And then I'm going to go ahead and click where I want that label to be. Now we put ours on the back molar, that way it actually prints out on the model, and when you make the aligner, there will be an impression on that aligner, just in case those patients get their aligners mixed up. This is really a great tool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a little extra space here, because what the program's going to do is it's actually going to put that number in there for you. So I'm going to scoot that over. And again, you'll want to make sure, it's not, too far out, which that kind of looks like it's a ways out. Okay. And you can go ahead and tilt these two. And then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And you'll notice now the software's labeled setup 0, 1, 2, 3. And so if you are the doctor that sends several aligners home, this is a great way for patients to keep track of which aligner they're on, so they're not popping in any older aligners. You can go ahead and put the labeling up here in the gum area. That's fine too, so it's really wherever you want to put it. And that's basically how you treat a case in this program. Now, I did say that we do offer treatment planning. So just to give you an idea of how that would work, you would go ahead and send us those STL scan files with your lab order. And then in return, what you would get back from us is a treatment video. So I'm going to just show you what that treatment video would look like. So this is an example, and then what our treatment planner does is she goes through and she will show you, okay, this is the patient, this is the ideal, this is the beginning, now this is ideal, and so she's going to go back and forth between different views, the left view, the right view, the occlusal view, the bite, and tell you, you're going back and forth from initial to ideal. And then, so you would actually just have a video to view, and then if you would need any changes, you could just email us back and let us know, hey, I want you to extrude that lateral 2 more millimeters. So, and then we would go ahead and get those changes done and send you back a treatment video. And then you would let us know when you were ready for prints. So we also provide printing and aligner options here as well. Just to go over some of the prices, we have the data processing, which we can do for you. And again, that's cleaning up the models, getting them ready for treatment. That is $15 an arch. Okay. Our treatment planning is $37.50 an arch. So if you wanted to send us your scans and let us do the entire case and you get a video back, you're paying $105 for that case setup for that patient for an upper and lower treatment plan. All right. And then as far as printing goes, we use EnvisionTEC printers. We have ultras and we have micros. They are a wonderful company, and they have wonderful quality prints that we produce. The material that we use is actually, you're able to solder on it if you have any use for that. The models that we print for aligners are reusable, so you can keep them in-house. If a patient loses an aligner, you can use that same model and create another one. We also offer aligner services here. Our aligners start at $39.95 each, and that includes your printed model. And the prints themselves are 16 an arch. So you can create those aligners in-house at your own office if you'd like. We do have discounts when ordering in bulk, and I would suggest that you contact your sales rep and they can go over those discounts with you. But it's really a wonderful program, and our turnaround times, just to give you an idea, if you need data processing done, you're looking at about 2 days to get that file back to treatment plan. Okay, and then the treatment planning is in your hands if you're choosing to do it yourself. And then if you're using us for treatment planning, that treatment plan would be back to you within 3 to 4 days. Okay, so if you drop an entire case to us, you'll have that treatment plan video in your BrainLoop account within 3 to 4 days. Okay, so we're much faster than other options out there, and we are a small company, and when you call in with any questions, you will always get a live person on the phone that is happy to help you. So I think that about sums it up. If there is anybody that has any questions, please don't hesitate calling or sending us an email. We also have a direct number here if you'd like that. It's 855-284-6900. And I also can do one-on-one webinars with doctors and teach you how to use the software. Or if you're interested in doing the data processing part, I can teach that as well. All right.
Hey, Jackie.
Yeah.
This is Paul. Thank you so much. It was a great webinar. We do have a few questions on Facebook for you. So maybe you can go online afterwards and answer these. But I'll go ahead and tell you we got 3 right now. One person's asking about the limitations of the movements for per tray for rotation, intrusion, extrusion.
Okay, so the rotation is 2 to 3 degrees per setup, and the intrusion extrusion is 0.1 millimeter limitation per tray.
Okay, and then there's another questions about deciding on attachments for the particular tooth movement.
Okay. That really is a matter of preference. We really see everything come through here as far as the oval, the circles, the squares, the rectangles. I find that certain doctors prefer the mound shape or the oval shape, and some are sticklers for the rectangle and square shapes.
Okay, that sounds great. The last question we have is for the labeling of the trays, and that they're asking is, like, I guess what he's saying is, like, when you do the first one or last one, does it automatically do the trays in between on each of those stages?
With the labeling?
Yes.
So the labeling, you always want to 0. So if I arrow back here, okay, after I've created all these trays, you'll always want to start in setup 0, because when you do that, the software will automatically label all the other trays.
Okay.
If you accidentally start, like, let's say in setup 6, it's only going to label that one tray for you. And then you'd have to go back and do them all. So it's much easier if you just remember when using that label or even the shape, always start in setup 0.
Okay, great. Thank you for everything.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll hear from everybody soon.
All right, take care.
All right. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you for everyone for joining too as well. Thank you.